Change without drama. Well, I think I used today the metaphor of children. Like you take a kid that lives in Nebraska and move with the kid to California, for example, and they would adapt to that new environment just like that. So I kind of went into why is that and why do we resist change? So I always ask myself, is it really the change or is it my resistance to change? And for example, is it traffic that causes my stress or is it my resistance to the traffic that causes my stress? And so I pointed to children these innate qualities that we had when we were more in the moment, not so worried about what's going to happen in the future or the past, and just be present with it. And so that's one technique that I shared today. The two things that there's two innate fears that we're born with. One is falling, one is loud noises. But the biggest fears that keep us from a more joyful life and a more adaptive to change life is fear of embarrassment and fear of failure. These two are really big. And also worry. We talked a lot about how worry gets in the way. Out of 100 things that we're worried about, there's only 3 that are in our domain of influence. We worry about the past and the future. There's only 3 out of 100 things that I'm worried about right now that I can have any influence over. So if I can narrow my worries down to what I can actually do something about, I'll have more energy, less stress, more fun, etc. Well, they're different for everybody, right? So you and I are worried about 100 things separately. I'm worried about the what's going on, the global warming. I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. And of those that I'm worried about, there's only 3 that I have control over. So everyone's gonna have those 3. Does that make sense? Because most of what we worry about is the past, or we think is gonna happen, and it doesn't happen. And 7 out of those 100 things that I'm worried about right now, they've done studies, only 7 out of 100 are gonna happen. And 4 of those are out of my control, like a flight that's gonna be delayed. So that means only 3 out of 100 things that I'm worried about, can I do anything about? First of all, thank you and appreciation. And we talked a lot about appreciation today, how little 5-second, 10-second, I really appreciate you is so amazing. And to be honest, I was caretaking with my mom for the last 2.5 years, and I have much more empathy for the work you do. And I was witness to many OR nurses, and maybe you don't get a lot of the appreciation, so how do we do that for each other? So appreciation creates people wanting to be there. So even in the context of your chapters, like really appreciating when people, not over the top, authentic and real, like just, hey, thanks so much, and understand that we're all so different, and the diversity is a good thing for a chapter. I think first of all, it's a reminder every day. I have to remind myself, right? And so when we get really, really serious about ourselves, when I take myself too seriously, that's when I see that it's time to do something wacky. Next time you're at the grocery store, take the courage, grab some bananas, balance them on your head, and see how far you can shop. My limit is 6 minutes. But doing things to take ourselves lightly helps me refocus on helping others and serving others. And I have friends that we laugh a lot. Laughter is great. Jokes are great. Whatever it is that makes you feel like I can release a little bit. Children teach me almost everything. From the fact that they're laughing 250 times a day without drugs and alcohol. And what do? I probably don't know what that is unless you were here. Okay, real quick. I said to the audience, hey everyone, make the okay sign and put it on your chin. As I put it on my cheek, everyone, or most people did this when I was saying this. So we modeled for kids our behavior. So they come into this place of being serious. So the whole thing about kids, they laugh, they're creative, they live in the moment, they're spontaneous, they are curious, they're all these wonderful qualities. That's what's so amazing about them. And then we grow up and we get conditioned to be all serious. Now it's one thing to take your job seriously, which everyone does. I know as OR nurses, you take your job seriously, but the challenge is not to take ourselves seriously. And kids teach me a lot about that.